All right, so we are currently in two-wheel drive. As you can see, a lot of snow. As you're driving in two-wheel drive, you can shift on the fly to 4 high. So we just did that. I forgot what speed, but I usually like to stay, under 35 miles an hour when you're shifting from 2 to 4 on the fly. And then if you wanted to get into 4 low, you have to stop the vehicle, get it in neutral, and then go down to 4 low. And you could hear that one, you could hear and feel it. And so that's, you're in 4 low, and then bam. 4 low, it's probably the least used four-wheel drive setting because you only use it when you're 15 miles an hour tops when you're like rock crawling. So it's really just when you're crawling around going 5 miles an hour. So in snow I wouldn't use it. Okay, so we're back in two-wheel drive again, and we're going to show the last setting, which is auto four-wheel drive. It's on the very top. Auto four-wheel drive, it is a really good option. I like using it in the snow actually, and that's about it. And one nice thing about the auto is, it's easier for people that haven't used four-wheel drive as much, and so it just automatically goes. So the Suburban's a rear-wheel drive car, and when it senses slippage, when you're in auto four-wheel drive, it puts the power to the front wheels also. And so it's more like a all-wheel drive that you would see like in a RAV4 or some of the little crossovers, and it does really well, but it's not locked in like when you're in four-wheel drive or 4 low. All right, so we just kind of went over the four-wheel drive options. I'll do a quick review again. Auto four-wheel drive is used, I like to use it in snow and like going up to the ski hill. It's a perfect time to use it because you may not need four-wheel drive the whole way, and that's just a good option. So auto four-wheel drive in snow is nice. Then you have two-wheel drive, just regular two-wheel drive. 98% of your driving is going to be in two-wheel drive for most people, and you can get to a lot of stuff just in two-wheel drive, especially in this particular Suburban. This has the G80 locking or rear locker. It's a gov lock, and they do really well. And the next option is four-wheel drive high. So it's down below, 2 high, 4 high. 4 high, if it's really deep snow, kind of like today actually, you can run around in 4 high, and it does really well. Other than that, gravel roads and high speed stuff, you don't really need 4 high. Honestly, it's not used as much in my personal experience. When you need 4-wheel drive, in my experience, it's when you're crawling, and so 4 low comes in, and that's the last setting that you can change to. And that one is when you're going 15 miles an hour top. You probably don't even want to go 15 very very long or anything in it, but it's just when you're like kind of the Moab type stuff, so you're crawling, and if you also need to like get some more oomph right off the bat, it goes into a lower gear, and so you have some more gearing at that point if you're like pulling someone out or wanting needing something like that. It can come in handy, but just a rule of thumb on all of these, it's best not to use four-wheel drive until you're stuck. And so we've had clients, we had one client, they kept it in four-wheel drive, and the transfer case blew up. This is after we had sold it down the line, but they had it in 404 high on the highway for a long time. The transfer cases, they're not meant to be going 80 miles an hour in four-wheel drive, and so that's just, be cautious. You know, when you're done with the trail or whatever you're doing, just be sure that you're in 2-wheel drive when you get back on the highway. And auto is the same way. When you're going 80 miles an hour, if you're in auto, it's not going to do anything if you start slipping. You're going 80 miles an hour. And so all of these, all the 4-wheel drive settings, rule of thumb, just use them when you're going slower. So like top speed, I would say, what, 35? Yeah. I mean, 4-wheel drive's not going to help you when you're going above 35 miles an hour. And it's questionable if it's even going to help going 35, unless you're like doing a rally race and you're drifting around a corner. So 4-wheel drive is just there when you need it, and to me it's a must. Not because it's used, 100% of the time, but when you need it, you want it. And that's when, 2-wheel drive vehicles can really fail. And also when you're locked in 4-wheel drive, so 4 high and 4 low, you do not want to drive that way on dry pavement. And so if you're just going around town and you're making a corner in 4 high or 4 low, it does not, those front axles do not like that. And so it's just not great to do that. Now, when you're in Moab and doing certain things like that, yes, 4 low, and you'll get like that, that sound. That's, you're locked in, and that's just putting, added stress on the vehicle, and that's up to you. And, when I go off-roading, that happens. But if you're just driving around town, avoid dry pavement. If you're in 4-wheel, only use it when you're on gravel road or wet, slippery surfaces like snow. So that's in 2-wheel drive. So this is all in 2-wheel drive. You're still getting traction, but you've got to be an excellent driver at this point. So we're now in 4-wheel high, so we're locked in and everything, and huge difference. So when he launches here, there's going to be very little spin. So big difference there. And you can see so just a lot more traction. Okay, so we now have it in auto all-wheel drive, auto 4-wheel drive, and so I'm hoping to get it on camera here where you'll see the front tires kick in. See that hesitation there with those front wheels, and that's auto feature. So really good launch, and works out good. So now we're going to go on 4-wheel drive. 1, 2, 3, go. Okay, that one was 8.3 seconds. So in 2-wheel drive, we did 11.7. So that's 3 seconds difference from 4 high and 2 high. So now we're going to do the final test, and it is in auto 4-wheel drive. 1, 2, 3, go. It was identical to a 4 high, so right at 8.5, 8.7, right in there. So 4 high and auto 4-wheel drive did identical, and then 2-wheel drive was a couple seconds slower. All right, so now we'll go over the four-wheel drive functions on this. This is a 2005 Suburban, so 2000 to 2006 will have the same style over here on the left side, and then 96 to 99 will have the same buttons, different location, and the same thing with the next generation, the 07 and up. And so we'll just go over this system. This is GM's, I think it's RPO code 8 or something, where it's an auto track. So as you're driving in two-wheel drive, you can shift from 2 to auto. And that you can do that on the fly. I think they suggest up to 35 miles per hour to shift that in. And you wouldn't need four-wheel drive any faster speed anyway. And then to get to 4 high, you just shift same style, so it's on the fly, and that's 4 high. And then the last setting that is on these is 4 low, and you need to be at a complete stop in neutral. So I'll put the car in neutral, and then it'll lock it. One final thing I'll say, or specifically for winter driving, is we just did the test with how fast we could, it was a distance time, so like how fast we could launch in each mode. And just because you can get going at a good speed in four-wheel drive doesn't mean you should be going that speed. And so a lot of people will, they may have not had a four-wheel drive vehicle before, and you kind of feel invincible. You've got like the car next to you and it's spinning out and it's taking forever to launch, to go through the stoplight or whatever. And you've got this four-wheel drive truck or whatever, and you feel invincible and you feel like you can, do a lot of things. But in all reality, your stopping distance is just as poor as everyone else's. And so that's where people will get in trouble. They have a four-wheel drive, they'll go fast, and they'll go the speed limit, but you shouldn't be going the speed limit because it's slick, and then you'll get into wrecks. And another thing with tires too, just because you have a good tire on also doesn't mean your braking distance is going to drastically increase. Yes, it'll be better, but just be safe out there, and having four-wheel drive is a huge plus, and it saves a lot of headache and can get you out of sticky situations. But just because you have it doesn't make you invincible. So that concludes this video, going over the four-wheel drive modes and how to use them. So we went over how to select the different four-wheel drive modes, and we also went over in what conditions to use them. So hopefully that helps, and just remember, be safe out there, and go ahead and use your four-wheel drive, but I would say use it sparingly, just because you can get out of most situations in two-wheel drive. But having the G80 and four-wheel drive, that combination just is a really good insurance policy and helps out a lot, and that's why we only do four-wheel drive vehicles. But thanks again, and have a good one.